G'day and welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for watching. Got quite a few views on the last video, or quite a few views for me anyway, so thank you everybody that has watched that, and thank you everybody that subscribed. It's much appreciated. So we'll rip into another week out in the shed. So pretty much last week was the first track day, the first outing. I found some issues with the car, not huge ones, but some things I'd like to pretty much redesign. For example, I want to redesign the whole cooling setup on this. I want to stand the radiator up straight, and I want to stack the intercooler up against it, and then do better ducting both in and out. So we'll be doing that. The seat seriously needs a bit of work. The sliders failed, so I need to solid mount that. And a couple of other bits and bobs, I want to get them sorted. Also had a relay die, but it was a pretty cheap Chinese relay, so I've got a new one coming. So we'll have to get that and get that all sorted as well. So yeah, just got to repair the wing, got some other bits and bobs to do. I've started a list, so I'll show you the list of things that I want to get done on the car, and we'll go from there. Alright, so this is the list that I've got that I want to get done on the car before I take it out on the track again. So I want to solid mount the seat, so that's first thing. I want to have a go at making a short shift kit. So anybody that has a GTO or something like that, hopefully I can do it good enough that it'll be just like quite easy to replicate. But we'll see how that goes. I want to hook logging up to a switch with the link. I can do data logging, and it has memory in it now to actually do quite a bit of data logging. Apparently you can hook that up to a digital input, so when you flick a switch it starts recording. I didn't actually realize you had to press record on the logging. I just thought it did it all the time. So I got no logs from the track day, which was a bit disappointing, so I want to hook that up to a switch. I want to set up push to pass. I've decided that I'm going to put the bigger turbo on. Bigger turbine housing anyway. So it's pretty much this one here. The only difference is it's a twin scroll one, or twin entry. It could be twin entry. I think they're one and the same, but I could be wrong, and I'm sure someone out there will correct me if I am wrong. But with being a twin scroll or twin entry turbo, I'm going to have to pull the manifold off and cut a big chunk out of the manifold and put a divider in there to turn that into a twin scroll manifold. It won't be hard because of the way I designed it. It's just a bit of an unwanted hassle, but we'll just rip into it. It's not a big problem. So that is on the list. I want to get that sorted. Better ducting to the radiator and redesign the cooling setup. That was what I touched on before. I want to change that whole setup and get that all sorted. It's going to have to go back on the dyno. Going to have to do ducting. I'm going to have to repair my wing. So they're just things that I can think of now that I want to get into. But what I might do is I might start with my seat and do a solid seat mount and get that sorted, and then we'll just move forward from there. Alright, so it is now about 3.5 hours later from when I said I was going to make some seat mounts, and this is what I've come up with. So because my seat has mounting bolts on the bottom of the seat here, you see, and pretty much exactly where they need to go is where the bolts in the car are. I needed to make something so I could bolt them together, and obviously because I need it as low to the floor as possible, I can't slide my hand under or anything to do them up. So what I came up with is this one here bolts to the floor of the car. This one here bolts to the seat. You slide them together and you bolt them together, and the car's bolted to the seat's bolted to the car. I had a look through the Motorsport New Zealand handbook, and all it really says in there is that the seat must be mounted to the bracket with 4 M8 8.8 bolts, and the bracket must be mounted to the floor with 4 M.88, or a minimum 4. So this bolts to the seat with 4 M8 12 point, what are they, 12.6 or 12.8? 12.8 cap screws, and then that bolts to the floor with 4 M8 12.8, and then it bolts together with 6 M8 12.8 cap screws. So hopefully that's all good. Feel free to chuck a message if you don't think that's going to suit or whatever. But yeah, I have tried it. This is probably like the 4th concept I've done on it. I have tried it and it is rigid as in the car. I have wrenched on it as hard as I could and I couldn't get it to move or anything or flex. So I'm going to call that a win and I'm going to move forward. I've just got to drill a hole in the floor now to put the crutch strap for the 5-point harness. The issue is right where I need to drill it. On one side of the hole will be the brake lines and on the other side will be the fuel lines. So I actually need to get under the car and drill up, and that way hopefully I don't mess it up. So I'll rip into that, get that sorted, and we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so I now have finally the 5th strap to my harness bolted into the car. It's probably the first time I've ever had all 5 bolted in. I normally just run them as a 4-point harness, so that's quite good. I just chucked a lick of paint on my new seat mount brackets, so I'm just going to wait for that to dry. So I'll probably pick it up tomorrow night when I move on to, I might do the short shifter tomorrow night. And pull that out and have a look at that. It's getting pretty late now, so I'll probably just call that a night. So yeah, we'll pick it up tomorrow night. So this is how the frame works now. So that bolts to the seat, as you can see. The other one in here bolts to the floor, and then we just bolt the 2 together. So what I need to do is I need to get the seat in, check to make sure that the central harness is all adjusted right, and then once that's all good to go, I'm going to just put a Loctite on these bolts so they don't walk themselves out. Not a really heavy compound Loctite, just a medium or a soft strength one, just so they don't literally vibrate loose and come loose. But if the ones in the seats and in the floor actually do come loose, they can't fall out or anything. Like, they can only probably undo about a turn and then they hit the other plate. So it's kind of good, I guess. And the 6 other bolts will have nylock nuts, and so that should stop them from coming off. So in theory it should be impossible for them to come loose, but stranger things have happened. So yeah, so I'll get the seat in and I'll check everything out, and then we'll move on to the selector. Alright, so the seat's all bolted in now. I had to come in and out quite a few times because it took a while to adjust the centre strap, and every time you want to adjust it you have to pull the seat out, but that's sorted out now. That's not a problem, so that's all good. The seat itself is pretty well mounted. If you push on it hard enough, the seat starts to flex before the plates start to flex, so that's cool. So that's all sorted now. So now we're going to move on to pulling out the shifter mechanism and see if we can create some sort of short shift kit. So we'll get that out and see how that goes. Alright, so I've got the shifter mechanism out now, as you can see here. From what I understand, looking at it and drawing a pretty crude little drawing over there, the easiest way for me to turn this into, or to shorten the throw, will be to cut this through here and extend that up a set distance, and then cut this through here and extend that down a determined distance, which will leave this at the exact same spot, but what we're doing is we're changing where the pivot point is. And if we move the pivot point up, the throw will become shorter, and then also the side to side will become shorter because you'll have more leverage here. So it's not really going to be something that I can you know, I really wanted to make a kit just to help all the GTO guys out, and I think 3SX has one. So I might jump on their site and see what it is they've done. But I don't know if it's going to be a proper short shift. I think it might be just shortening where the actual gear knob sits down, because essentially that will do the same thing as well. It will shorten your throw, which technically I suppose I could do. I could shorten that and then lift the whole frame up, because I didn't want the gear knob, you know, any lower down towards the boot than what it already was. So yeah, so what I might do is I might raise this up, extend that, and then I'm going to probably put some spacers underneath this to lift the whole plate up as well. Just so the gear knob itself is a bit higher, and it should have a nice short shift to it. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think I might leave that for tonight, and I might do some research on what other people have done and go from there. So it's a new day now. I had a look last night online at 3SX's website and had a look at their short shift kits, and their kit pretty much is the whole setup here. It's not just a selector, so it's good to know that I was on the right track, and it wasn't just a case of making a new, like, the actual gear stick part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it through here, and on this side here I'm going to cut it through here. I'm going to bring that down. I think I'm going to try 30 mils, and same with this side, bring this side up 30 mils. So this here should technically sit in the exact same spot. Oops, crikey. That there should sit in exactly the same spot. It will just have a higher pivot point, which should mean that it should be shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in the car now as it is, and do some measurements and see what the throw is, and yeah. Alright, hopefully the camera stays there and doesn't fall down. So to measure, what I'm going to do is, from this book that I've got here, this whole shifter mechanism is mounted up against it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the current throw. So I'm going to do there, I'm going to do that. So that's about 300 mils there, going all the way forward to 190. Oh, that's 310, sorry. 310, 190, 310, 190. So that's 120 millimeters of travel from third to fourth, 120 millimeters. So what we'll do is we'll do the cuts, we'll weld it up, and we'll see if we can make it any shorter. Okay, okay. So let's have a crack. At filming while I do some welding. Alright, so the main section that I got here is a 12 mil, and I don't have 12 mil, so I'm just going to weld two 6 mil bits together to use that to fill the gap. So this part here that I'm putting together now is part of the actual selector. That's the other half of it there, and that's where the gear knob screws on. What we're going to do is we're just going to tack it. flip it over and we'll just tack the other side. Before it heats up too much and opens up. Make sure we keep that post gas flow on it. It's pretty straight to me. Now. Funny, someone once told me, why does fabrication always cost so much money? It's because of fiddly little shit like this is why it costs so much money. It takes you about an hour just to tack something up. Okay. Might just need a bit of a stratum, but that's not too bad. So that's technically that part done. Now let's join these two back together. Oh no! Oh, the camera's jumped off. Oh, I hope it wasn't too noisy. Okay, just going to sit there without the clamp now. Hopefully you can still see what's going on. Oh, you bugger. Come on. There we go. Oh, fuck it. So she's set back up to the same ring binder again, and it's only loosely done up. I haven't done anything up, but she still moves. But she feels a lot tighter now, so that's a good thing. So with this here, I have to put you back up here, I'm afraid. Hopefully you can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see or not. But going by this, so that there all the way forward is about 200, and all the way back is okay, so all the way forward is 210, and all the way back now is 270. So that means I've now got a 60mm throw on the gear knob, and I've got the same distance down the bottom. So essentially I've just made a short shift kit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to weld it all up, put it in the car, and see if it still works. Alright, so they're all welded up now, they're all painted up. I painted them. I like to paint them when it's still really hot, because it helps the paint almost cure instantly, and it just means that by the time they're cool, they're already painted, they're already ready to go. You don't have to wait for the paint to dry, especially on colder nights like tonight. But this is what they look like. So all welded up, all ready to go, pretty much. I'll just I'll bolt it all back together. It's alright, I'll bolt it all back together and get it all into the car, and then we'll see what the feel is like, and yeah, it's pretty simple to do. So it's all back in now. It looks relatively in pretty much the exact same spot as it was before, but now we've got, you know, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Alright, so my one I've actually offset just slightly to keep clear of the handbrake. It seems silly, but it's just the way I put it together. I put it together like that for reasons. So yeah, but I mean, the shift is so short now, you know. Whereas if you looked at my old video footage, I was driving a big 16-speed gearbox or something. So that's all good. That's in, and yeah. Thank you very much for watching this week's episode. Next week we'll be moving on to changing the cooling system and doing all that, making sure that we can get some duct in, relocating the intercooler and radiator and getting that all stacked up and getting that all nicely. Yeah, thank you very much. We'll catch you next week. Cheers.